Hi and welcome everybody. I'm Lucy Vaughn and I'm here with Winter Amanda. Hi Winter.
Armada. Armada.
Amanda. I don't know why I say
Armada.
Amanda.
Armada?
Armada.
Yes, ma'am.
How are you?
I'm okay. I'm very nervous.
You look great.
Oh, thank
What have you
you.
been up to today?
Sleeping for the most part. I did a ritual last night, so I slept through a lot of the day today.
Oh my goodness. I know it sounds
And
like
the
you're
the face of horror competition, trying to promote for that.
yeah. So tell us about the face of horror.
Well, I first signed up for it because of the opportunity for the paranormal investigation with Kane Hodder. But it turns out there's a lot more incentives than that. You can there's a photo shoot involved, like a horror themed photo shoot. There's also a $13,000 cash prize. And I also got to submit for the director's pick, which was like an audition for a movie because I made it so far into the. It was for the quarterfinalists. So now I really want to win it because there's like money involved. But initially, when I signed up, I just wanted to do the ghost hunt.
So what makes you think that you deserve to win?
I mean, I conjure spirits. I have a lot of paranormal equipment. I have an SB7. I have the SB7 Pro, EVP recorder, EMF reader. I do at least 2 full-scale rituals a month, and my primary focus is spirit conjuration. So I just think it would be exciting. I feel like I'm haunted, so I'd bring something to the table for activity.
Explain this haunted thing to me. I've seen that about you. Like, what is that? What does that mean, or what is it?
I have a lot of attachments, I think. I mean, I'm into necromancy and spirit conjuration, different types of spirits, demons as well. But
Mhm.
I just think I have things attached to me, like, you know,
Yeah. Like what?
demons mostly, shades too. I mean, I have like a little army of human bones I've been collecting here and feed them every week. So, I'm a bit odd.
Yeah. So you've written a book. You have written Armada's book about Beelzebub.
Yes, ma'am.
Was that?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So what inspired you to do that? Like what brought about working with Beelzebub?
Okay, so that's a bit of a complicated story. In 2019, on June 3rd, I had a dream that asked me to write the Devil's Codex. They said, "Are you willing to write the Devil's Codex?" I said yes, but I gave it a working title instead because I didn't want to be told what to do. And then they handed me a manila envelope and it was covered in numbers. And when I woke up, I was like, okay, the Devil's Codex, that's cool. I really want to write this, but I had no idea what it was supposed to be. Like, I had no idea what the Devil's Codex was. I started thinking maybe it might have to do with like repeating patterns. Like, I noticed that like the same kind of events tend to repeat over the course of years around the same dates. I was thinking maybe, so I started keeping a log of that and calling them codex entries. But I still didn't really know what I was supposed to write about. And then a human author who's already published a bunch of books approached me and asked me if I'd be willing to co-write with him on a book about Beelzebub. And at the time, I didn't have a relationship with Beelzebub by that name. But I thought, okay, this guy already has a fan base. He already has a following. It'll be good for me. Like, I'll just, jump in there and I already have readers. And it'll get me writing. So, it'll get me in the game. And then, I had no idea that I was already starting to write the Devil's Codex. I was just like, I'm going to write about Beelzebub with this guy. Because, in the past like 500 years or so, Beelzebub isn't presented as being the devil. They usually divide them into a trinity, which is to imitate the Godhead. A lot of people take these grimoires too literally. But so they have various trinities across different grimoires. We have the Book of Oberon has Beelzebub, Lucifer, Satan. The same in the Book of Treasure Spirits. We go on to have Beelzebub, Elister, and then we have Beelzebub and Ashtaroth. Like, the trinity changes, but it's supposed to simulate the Godhead, and people don't realize that. So I started writing about grimoires within the past 500 years. And the guy ended up betraying me on the last day of May in 2022. And so I was really scared that he was going to plagiarize my work. So I took all the parts that I had written and I rushed and I self-published. I started formatting everything. Going through because I had brackets for like add more information here. I went and took out all those brackets. Wrote like a back page and all that stuff and published it as soon as it was ready. And it happened to be on June 3rd, 2022, the same date as the original dream saying, "Will you write the Devil's Codex?" And it's really occurred and I didn't realize because I still was focusing on the past 500 years. And then I started thinking, okay, I have time now. I can relax. I can expand on this book. I can write an extension. And so I started researching further and I go back to biblical times and I realized that Beelzebub is presented as a name for the devil. And this is he's literally put me on the path of starting the Devil's Codex. I had no idea what I was doing. But I think it's destiny.
Yeah.
Very much a fan of destiny.
Yeah. So how has that journey been?
Amazing. I'm really glad to be involved. Those kinds of things that occur where I have no idea what's happening and it happens anyway. And like there's no way 3 years before the date of publishing that they said that to me. They knew. I had no way of knowing that. And there are so many circumstances that are like outside of like conscious control. Like that guy happened to betray me on the last day of May. You know, there are just things that just happen to happen, and then everything fits together perfectly. And it's just, I don't even feel like I have to have faith at this point. I feel like I know, because there's just so much evidence that it's real, you know? So it's great. I'm really happy to be involved. I'm
Yeah.
great.
What kind of blessings has Beelzebub brought into your life?
I mean, I'm doing pretty well. I'm living in a very expensive place. You are as well. You know, I'm not working too much right now, and I'm still able to like stay afloat. I don't know. I like to be grateful just for everything in my life, you know, and I like when a lot of my rituals, I'm not asking necessarily for material gain, and a lot of them I'm asking to strengthen my relationship with spirit. And you know, I'm having more and more visions, and I'm having experiences. I run a meditation group, and we're all using the Gateway experience from the Monroe Institute, and we're all having really interesting phenomena occur in relation to the meditations as well. So
what do you mean by phenomena?
Like, for example, one of my favorite states in the Gateway experience so far is the 12th state. I've gotten up to, I'm practicing the 25th state, but I don't know that I've achieved it yet. But my favorite so far is the 12th state, because sometimes my mind will start talking to me. But I'm not, it's really crazy. Like the first time it happened, I was trying to count the 10, you count from, because you're in the 10 state. And so you count 10, 11, 12. So I'm counting in my head 10, 11. And then I tried to say 12. And instead my brain like glitched and said truth. And then there was like a bunch of like, I don't even know. And then I felt like I was in two places at once, because there's like this ocean surf sound. And I was on top of the waves, and I was and I was conscious of being in two places. And I was thinking I can live forever if I can be in two places at once. And I've had that happen a few times where I'll be trying to say things in my head in the 12th state, and my brain glitches and takes over. Like one time we were doing patterning, and I was trying to think, I feel able to handle tasks. I feel able to handle tasks, because I'm trying to like manifest that, you know, and it was the emotional pattern for my ideal self. And so I'm thinking, I feel able to handle tasks. And I reiterated it a few times, and my brain glitched and said, I feel able to make packs. It wasn't me, but it was me, you know, it's like the higher self. It's just amazing. It's a really cool program. Yeah.
Do you remember at the Witches Sabbath, like when we were putting together the whole ritual?
Yeah.
And you were like you were putting it together really good, and making sure it was coordinated with that. What was I remember you had an ointment that you made.
Oh yeah, we didn't end up using. Okay, I brought belladonna, and then I thought better of putting belladonna on people at a party, so we ended up making a different ointment. I don't remember what we put.
What is belladonna?
It's poisonous. I have belladonna extract. It can cause like hallucinations. It's one of the ingredients that can sometimes be used in flying ointment. That's why I brought it. But then again, you know, it occurred to me, I probably shouldn't be anointing a bunch of I don't want to get arrested. So I chose not to put poison on everybody. But yeah, that was really great. We actually have a video of me anointing everyone in the presence of Satan. And I was so like, it gave me a little bit of an ego boost, because we go up, you know, and I say, please step forward to be anointed in the presence of Satan. And people start coming up and kneeling in front of me. And I was just like, oh my God, it's so great.
So this is live, but if it was pre-recorded, I would add the video in of like that whole event, because that was a pretty cool event. Like it was super foggy and smoky, and then you're standing there with like a
what was it? It was like a horn. Yeah, it was like a horn, and we had the ointment
in there, and everybody's coming up to you, and like
they were kneeling in front of me. I didn't even ask them to kneel. I was just like, with great power.
You're like this.
Beautiful. Yes.
Getting anointed by Satan's brides.
I recently had another experience. I had a dream that addressed me as being a regent to a god. And whenever, like I said, I'm more interested in things that I don't know. Like the thing where it told me that I was going to write the Devil's Codex, you know, I didn't know. And all this stuff happened, and it lined up, and I didn't know. I once had a dream in which I was told I could be used as a key to Baal. And at the time of the dream, I had never worked with Baal. I didn't know about the conflation between Baal and Baal. I didn't realize that Beelzebub is derivative from Baal. I hadn't started working with, none of this stuff happened yet, but they tell me these things.
And he's like known as the Lord of Flies.
Beelzebub is known as the Lord of Flies, yes.
Is Beetlejuice derived off of Beetlejuice?
I don't know, but I really feel like it, because sometimes I'll see Beetlejuice and I'll misread it as Beelzebub, and I think it's funny.
I'm trying to remember where I heard or where I read that.
I would not be surprised.
Beetlejuice was actually derived from the inspiration for that character and that name came from one of the archdemons of
I
hell.
wouldn't be surprised.
I
I
think
actually
it
have
was.
I'm sorry.
I said I think it was Beelzebub, the Lord of the Flies.
Yeah, I like to have insect things on his altar. I have an altar here for him. I have a dragonfly on there. I have dragonfly glasses. I have a dagger that has like a beetle on it, like a scarab. So, and then I have like a moth candle holder that's nice because it casts like shadows of moths all over the wall when I have the candle lit. So
I was reading online, checking up on who Beelzebub is and what he's about and what he does. And what I read a little bit about was that he is called the Lord of the Flies because in the old days they would conjure up Beelzebub and worship him and make offerings to him so that way he would keep the flies away from their cattle and their livestock and stuff like that.
There are a lot of different ideas and theories, and of course theories. I think I'm not positive, but I think it's the Talmud at some point mentions it's either that or there's another secondary book. But they mention like the followers having like a little fly totem or whatever. We don't necessarily know if that's true. Some people say that it's because he was being likened to a pile of shit, and his followers were therefore on the level of flies. Some people think that it could be, it's a warping of Beelzebub, meaning Baal the prince or like the master of the house. This is supported by the Bible when he says, if they have called, if I'm trying to remember the exact verse, but it's Jesus talking, and he refers to Beelzebub as being the master of the house. Like if they've called him the master of the house, how much more they call, So that's supported. There are a lot of different ideas about where his name could come from.
How did you get into working with magic?
My mother's a witch, which interestingly actually pushed me away from witchcraft for a good portion of my life because she wasn't the best mother. So I kind of associated the occult with like her instability, and I didn't want to be involved. I wanted to distance myself from that, but it just pulled me back. It got to be too loud. I couldn't get away from it.
What sector of witchcraft did she study and practice?
I don't know. I know that before I was born, she believed that I had an interest in her, and that she said she was interested in him too until she saw his face and something happened that scared her. What?
She was interested in who?
The devil. She believes that he was interested in her sexually as like a witch. And she I don't know when it happened exactly. I'm pretty sure it was during my lifetime because I remember that there was a time in my life where she got so scared that she had her tattoos removed, her witchcraft tattoos. She didn't want me reading Harry Potter. She was like so scared of hell. And then eventually she came back to witchcraft, but now doesn't want anything to do with demons. I'm in contact with my mother, but like my family is very estranged. So I mean, I really couldn't tell you. When she saw I started getting into, I'm sorry.
She still practices.
Yeah, she's a witch.
Studies witch, but just not in demonology.
Yeah.
Okay. What do you know? What kind of stuff she does study?
I don't know what she does.
Because there's nowadays there's like so many different sectors of magic and witchcraft and the occult, especially since it's hit mainstream a lot more.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, I can call myself a demonologist.
So what kind of like how did your working with Beelzebub start? Like were you working another magical system?
It was like I said, it was the book. I am trying to become acquainted with any face that he comes to me as. I think that he has a lot of different names and a lot of different faces. I think that a lot of the demons are actually the same entity, the same god. But I know that that's controversial. So the different faces that he comes to me as, I try to reach out and work with. And I have different dresses and robes for the different faces that relate to their planets. Like I have red and yellow, red and gold for Baal. I have blue and yellow for Beelzebub. Purple is also a good color to use for him because we're going with Jupiterian correspondence. Because Baal is Jupiter, and also he's a storm god, so it relates to like the stormy sky. But I went with blue and yellow. I have green and yellow for Dantalion, which a lot of people don't realize that the first attestation of Dantalion's name was in the Grimoire of Author Gauntlet. Before that, it's possible he may have been derived from Chantelaverion, which came earlier, but the first like recognizable appearance of the name Dantalion is the Grimoire of Author Gauntlet and the Book of Treasure Spirits, and he is presented as being a part of that godhead. There's like Beelzebub, Lucifer, and Dantalion. So I just have different colors for the different faces that he's come to me as.
Yeah. So, like, were you having experiences in your life, and then like you felt like you're making contact with some type of energy, and you researched it, or you just kind of had like things play out?
Oh, I absolutely had contact, but I'm just saying that's how I got into Beelzebub specifically by that name. Was the book led me to it? You know, writing the Devil's Codex and then getting into that. And then after I started writing about it, I started having more experiences with him. I have a lot of videos on my channel of flies, just like ridiculous amounts of flies. When I started writing the book, right afterwards,
I was going to ask you about that because I've heard a lot of people say that when they work with Beelzebub, they absolutely have a lot of flies.
And flies are actually one of the telltale signs of like demonic infestation. Like the Catholic exorcists will tell you this, like infestations of flies. But so I came out the day after I had started working on the book, and my apartment was full of flies, like not gnats, but like house flies. I took video of that. And at the time I wasn't telling anybody I was working on the book. So I said, I'm doing something with Beelzebub, but I can't exactly say. But then that's reoccurred on several occasions. I recently had it happen again. There were flies all over the wall. They were in my carpet. I got a video of them. They were like on my hand. I had flies on my, it was so cool. And then they're just gone. There's no reason for them to be there, and they're just gone. It's just like, hello.
Have you had any like scary situations happen with like extra crazy phenomenon?
I don't get scared of them when I'm awake, but I do have some things happen to me when I'm asleep. And I think that I have more of my emotions intact when I'm asleep. When I'm awake, they make me really excited. And they told me that that's because I'm partially possessed. Like they've actually told me that the reason I'm drawn to certain things in the occult and the reason I'm drawn to demons is because I'm partially possessed. Like whatever's inside of me, it draws me to it. But when I'm asleep, there are times where I have dreams about them where I'm so scared that I can't even function. Like I had one where the devil was talking to me from my wall, and I didn't even want my feet to touch the floor because the floor met with the wall, and there was just this great sense of danger. So yeah, I have that stuff, and and I can't even. And sometimes they'll be trying to calm me down, trying to tell me things, and I can't take it. But when I'm awake, when I'm awake, I'm all for it.
And who's they?
Demons, spirits, guides.
Yeah. So I know you and Sharon are doing Paranormal Investigation Hollywood.
Oh yeah, the Hollywood Paranormal Consultants. Yeah, we work together on that.
And you guys recently did a seance?
Oh yeah, we went to the Spawn Ranch for where Charles Manson's family was.
Explain what Spawn Ranch is and
that's where it's one of the places that Charles Manson's cult lived. They lived there for a while, and then they lived on like the Barker Ranch as well. So that's what it's known for. There's the caves there that are very famous. They have like the Manson family caves. You can Google that. We went there, took some pictures in there. I took a rock. I got it on my altar. I got a rock from the Manson farm on my death altar.
So you guys did a seance. What happened? Like, did you have any contact with any entities?
I didn't. We did it during the day for one thing, and we're also like out in the middle of nowhere, so I wasn't really. I kind of wish I brought the Ouija board instead of the spirit box, But we did light some candles. We did have the spirit box say a couple of things, which I was worried it wasn't going to say anything. We had it say one of the most interesting things it said was bloody Sharon system, which Sharon Tate was murdered by the family. Also, Sharon LeVay was with me doing the seance. We were there together. And when Sharon asked, she said, "Who are we talking to? Like, what's your?" And I have this recorded. I'm eventually going to put it on my channel. She said, "Like, who are we talking to? Like, do you have a name?" And it said Static. So that was interesting.
Static.
Yeah, it answered Static very clearly. She said, "Who are we talking to?" It said Static. And then it said bloody Sharon system.
Have you ever been to the Queen Mary?
I have not. Have you?
We should plan to go there, you and I and Sharon. Like, there is a lot of paranormal activity there. Like,
I would love to. I have so much equipment.
I was there, and like I was taking all kinds of pictures everywhere. I was taking pictures everywhere just because I wanted to look at them afterwards. And I had brought a Ouija board and everything like that, and I had planned on doing the Ouija board the night we were there, but I got too drunk and ended up just falling asleep. But the cool thing is, I was going through my pictures afterwards, and I caught so many orbs in a lot of pictures, like little like light orbs. And there's a boiler room inside in the very bottom. It's empty now. There's no more boilers in there, but they said that there's a man that haunts it, and like that he messes with women. Like he likes to like pull women's hair and different things like that. So I'm just taking pictures everywhere, and then like there's like these bars and ledges like really really high up, and I'm looking through my pictures, and like there's this shadow in a top hat with like a hood on, and it's just standing there like on this rail. It's really really high up, and so there's no way that somebody could have been up there and like just walking around in a trench coat. It's really dangerous, you know. It's like a lot of moisture in there, so it's really dangerous. But the Queen Mary's been used for like World War II. It's transported a lot of presidents. It was like a big fancy. It's the Titanic sister, so it's seen good times and it's seen crazy times. So like and plus water. I feel like water has a very high conduction rate. Absolutely. So spirits and entities, like they're just more prone to like manifesting, and you have a lot more spirit activity in places like that.
There's actually a part in the Bible where Jesus performs an exorcism, and he pulls the spirit out, and it goes into a bunch of pigs, and the pigs run for the water.
Yeah. It's purifying. Water's purifying, but at the same time, it holds a lot of electrical charge.
Yeah. It's actually one of the elements that I recommend having present in rituals. I recommend having fire present. I recommend having incense or smoke, you know, for the grimoire and Virum says to give it shape. I recommend, you know, obviously having yourself. So blood is a great offering, but if you're not comfortable giving it, at least you are present. And then I recommend having water. And what I like to do is I'll charge moon water, and I'll paint sigils on the glass, and I'll charge the moon water with crystals. And then I'll put it in my oil diffuser with like an essential oil that relates to that spirit. So we have like the water present in the ritual. You could just have a bowl of water though. I mean, you don't have to get too fancy with it.
Yeah, I've always been taught that it's good to have elements there that represent like the four cardinal points, like water, earth, water, fire, and something for air.
Yeah, the incense could be air, but I mean we're surrounded by air. It's good to have smoke there. Like you do see things sometimes in the smoke. You know, you have to give them a medium through which to manifest.
Yeah, and that's what I was gonna say too. Like, those having the four elements there, it's like creating a battery with positive and negative charges. Like you're having it's those four elements like create the energy vortex for something to manifest and come in, energy for like that spirit or the entity to come in and talk to them or work with them. At the same time too, you were talking about correspondences, you know, like not just like you could have those four elements there, but then you bring in more personalized products, like you would say like stones, and like say for you probably use like a purple stone, right? Something purple to strengthen that connection.
I go with blue personally. Usually, sometimes I make the sigil in purple, but I usually go with blue. They're both Venensian according to Libra 777, which is by Crowley. But what I do is I'll have two candles that are in the color that relates to the demon, and then I'll have the third candle because I make a triangle, and I'll have the third candle on the top be black, and then I'll engrave the sigils into the candles, and then I'll anoint the candles with essential oil. And then I make the sigil on a colored paper, I try to like put them throughout the ritual as much as possible, so it'll be present in a lot of things. And when I have altars, I have a lot of trappings that are specific to that demon as well. For Beelzebub, I would recommend Poplar and Fig are good from Libra 777.
Say that again. What was that?
Poplar and Fig are good for Jupiterian correspondence from Cody's Libra 777. Cedar is another good one. Storax is a good one from the Orphic hymns. So all of those are incenses that you could use. Some books that you read are going to relate Beelzebub to Venus because they're going to be tying him into Lucifer. I personally think that if you're going to address him as Beelzebub, you should address the Jupiterian side because of Bull. And then if you want to address the Venensian side, you should address Lucifer. You know, but yeah, you're going to read different planetary alignments from different books. I think Jupiter is the most accurate for Beelzebub.
I think too, it kind of depends too, like on what aim you're coming in there to, like what you're trying to gain. Like those correspondences also play a part in all that. Yeah, I like your shirt.
Thank you.
Where'd you get it from?
I just got it as a present. Someone gave it to me. It was a birthday present.
I love it.
Thank you. Yeah, I feel personally victimized. No, I'm just kidding.
Where can people go to vote for you?
The link, I don't know if there's a live chat, or is there a live chat?
I believe I put the link in the description.
Okay, yeah. Well, then,
let me ask Sharon because I don't know if she was.
It would be easier to have because I don't. It's going to be faceofhorror.org/2024/winter-4, but it would be better if you had like a clickable link.
Yeah, there's a clickable link on there.
Okay, good.
1 second.
Yeah, I'm like in 5th place right now. I was doing really. I am amazed that I made it to the semifinals in the first place because I don't have a big following. I'm very paranoid. The shirt. I'm very paranoid. I don't let people into like my circle. You know, I have tons of friends requests on Facebook. I don't add them. So the fact that I got to the semifinals in the first place is incredible. But I mean, I obviously want to win. You know, I don't. It's not over until it's over.
Yeah, I was in it last year. I made it, but I didn't really. Sharon was helping me out with it last year, and I got a little bit of ways in there. I think I got like second, and then some other lady won.
Wow.
Yeah. Darn it.
I know. I really wanted. I got my heart set on that investigation. I was gonna scare Kane Hodder.
Right. So did you guys have any like manifestations happen after the ritual for Witch's Sabbath? You feel like you made any contact or you had any?
I actually had something happen before. Before I even went to the cave, but when we were planning to go, I had a dream. I felt like my mind had like plugged into the walls of the cave. I don't know. That was interesting.
So Sharon was bringing up the 2-for-1 votes.
Oh yeah, what I really need right now is donation votes. Like you can vote for free once every 24 hours, and I appreciate that. Like it's definitely better than nothing. But because I think in 5th place right now, it does change kind of rapidly. I really, if you buy votes right now, like if you buy 13 votes, it's going to count for 26 votes. And so if everybody were to make small contributions, you know, together, it would add up.
Yeah.
And that's a temporary deal. It's not all the time. So I think if you go on the page, let me check. I think the sale only lasts for another hour and 21 minutes. So if people were to donate right now, then it would count for 2 times the amount of votes. And then also the money, even if I don't win, it's not lost. It goes to the Starlight Children's Foundation. And then it's also tax deductible. So if you keep your receipt, you can claim it on your taxes.
I'm seeing if I can add a screen so I can like wait, hold on, let me see. Present slides, extra screen, extra camera, video file, slides. No. Yeah, yeah, I can't do it. I think I would have had to have it pre-did slides on here to show it, but we did all this so last minute.
Yeah, we didn't. You know what's amazing? This is only my 2nd time doing like a podcast. The first podcast I ever did was on Anton LaVey's birthday, and it wasn't planned because I was going to be in a podcast the day before, and then they bumped it forward a day. So that was it happened to be on Anton LaVey's birthday, and today is my 2nd ever podcast, and it's on Anton LaVey's death day. Again, we planned it last minute just because we really had a need to get votes for this. I don't know, man. I think I'm a prophet.
I was gonna say, you know, it'd be fun. Like
what?
If you won, well, when you win, put that out there, speak it into existence. When you win, it'd be fun if we could all get together and like video record the whole experience and like just put it on here or something, you know, or put it on your channel.
What experience? You mean like going to meet?
Going to the Kane Hodders, like hold the photo shoot, like being part of like all the prizes.
Yeah,
and stuff.
That would be cool.
Just go record it.
I'm actually allowed to bring one person too. I was rereading the rules. If I win, I can bring one person, and they're going to put us up in a hotel and everything. And it's not even far from where we live in the first place.
I know
it's so perfect.
We all live pretty close together.
Yeah. The city of fallen angels.
So like we should get together and get together another event this year.
That would be cool.
Like us women, just put it together, us witches. That'd be bad. I already have a lot of people asking me, like offering venues to like for us to go and host events there.
I really liked the venue that we had for the Sabbath. Like
that was cool.
That was so cool with the triangles.
I'm telling you, I've found actually some really cool like.
You found some cooler ones?
Like eyes, some like eyes with your Eyes Closed Shut, Eyes Wide Shut, that movie. You know, have you seen that movie, Eyes Wide Shut?
No, I've heard about it though. I haven't seen it.
Oh my gosh. You gotta watch it. Okay, so in there they go to like this mansion castle and they're like doing rituals and all this stuff, and it's like super high and fancy. But I've had some people offer me some venues that are like that to host an event at. Like super upscale, like
fancy. That would be nice.
Yeah. I'm telling you, I'm excited for this year. This next coming year. What are your plans for Halloween?
I'm probably gonna go to a party, but I don't really know yet. I'm definitely dressing up. I'm definitely putting. Have you seen my costume?
No.
Oh, it's amazing. I have like horns. I have a gown. I really want to get hooves, but I told myself last year I was gonna get hooves this year, and then this year I didn't get them. Maybe I'll get them next. They're pretty expensive, and my concern is if I buy them and they come and they don't fit, you can't return them. But I really want them, so I'm probably gonna go for it next year. I really want to wear some hooves.
So I have a good question for you. Okay.
Okay.
All right. I want to tell you something too, man. Like we're reaching an hour, so it goes by fast when you're on and having a good time. And we can always go over if you want. So, say I want to work with Beelzebub, and I want to get filthy rich. Do you have any rituals or recommendations for that? Does Beelzebub help with the finances?
Yeah, absolutely.
I know everybody watching probably wants to know, like, well, if you're gonna work with spirits and work magic, like, shouldn't you be having money come in and getting wealth and fame and fortune? How can the audience out there work some magic?
The instructions are pretty clear in the Bible. The devil takes Jesus and he tells him, if that will fall down and worship me, all these things will you have. So I mean, the instructions are right there. A lot of Satanist types don't like to worship. They don't like the word worship. I don't necessarily see a problem with it. I think that worship is adoration. It's mutual respect. Tell him he's God. Tell him he's God. He likes that. What?
I said it's a mutual business agreement.
Yeah, absolutely. I happen to have a Leo Venus, so I like to worship, and I like to be worshipped. It's give and take. But yeah, tell him he's God. He likes that.
So let's say, what kind of candles would they want to buy? Like,
I mean, you could go with green. Some people actually will, some people will burn money or incorporate money into the spell if you're trying to manifest more of it. I haven't tried this yet, but I did have an idea. I've seen that they have like gold paper that has actual gold on it that you could, and it's actually edible as well, to imbibe the spell into yourself. This isn't something I've done, but it's just something that's crossed my mind. In my book, there is a spell with Beelzebub from the 17th century. It's from the author of the book died in 1636. So, but it involves Beelzebub, and I actually have like a mole pelt over here too, because I'm trying to work the steps from a lot of these old grimoires. But it's a spell with Beelzebub. You take a penny to a road, you leave it there for 3 days, which is, this expanse of time that Jesus was dead, or, and then it relates to Judas and Beelzebub. As far as, Judas, after he turned Jesus over, he had a lot of regret about that situation, but it was sort of like inevitable, like it had to happen, like it was going to happen. So, and there's parts of the spell that nobody can really define. Like we don't know what the words mean, but it seems to imply that it's saying, do for me what you did for Judas, because, he was rewarded. They paid him for his betrayal. And then he couldn't get out of doing it. Like it had to happen.
Wow. Okay, so what about crystals? Like what?
I'm sorry, I misspoke though. It's Caiaphas. It relates to Caiaphas, because Caiaphas got what he wanted out of Judas. He paid Judas, and then Judas cast the money back. Like he didn't keep it. So not only did Caiaphas got everything he wanted, and then he had the money. Like the money came back to him. So the spell is for money to go and return to you. Sorry, it just came into my head. It just came into my head.
So I think that's a good part, like that you would probably want to like write down on your paper, right? Like something, write that part of like that scripture, that story down on the paper. Like as part
you mean like make a petition? Yeah, it's encouraged.
Yeah, like petition or request.
Yeah, I write my petitions on the back of the sigils, and I create a new sigil per ritual. I have some things that have the sigils on them permanently, like I have wood burnings and things that have like the sigils on them. I have like my sigil rings. This is rose gold, this is silver, and they have sigils on them. So I have those all the time. But then for each ritual, I make a new petition, and then like a new sigil as well. That because you're putting your energy into it for what you want from that ritual, and then on the back, I'll write out like explicitly what I want.
So what about crystals? Incorporating crystals, because I love crystals. Okay, candles and crystals, those are my shit. And also, like, I do like oils, but more I have a more tendency of being drawn towards crystals and stuff like that. So what type of crystals would you recommend to correspond with a money?
I don't know that much about crystals. You probably know more about them than me. I mean, emerald is not a crystal, it's a gemstone, but I would say I happen to I feel really powerful when I'm wearing my gemstones. Like this one has sapphire, pink sapphire, amethyst, citron, ruby, and opal. So it actually spells out sacro, like SACRO, which is sacred. Because you take the first letter of each of the gemstones, and then it says Beelzebub on it here. And then it's rose gold, which is, rose gold contains copper, which is Venezuelan, and then the gold itself is royal. I feel like when you are willing to give big, you're able to get big from the spirits.
Yeah. I know, like, being able to put gold in, obviously the more realer the product, the higher conduction, right, it's going to have and a higher return. But I've heard that too, like, the more you give into it.
This painting here is actually human blood. That was pretty expensive. I have a couple of them from different art. I'm trying to collect different artists. I'm trying to collect samples from
so you brought it up. Tell more.
So it's human blood. And it's supposed to, I have another one over here. I'm actually in both of the paintings, but this one, I wanted it to be kind of loosely inspired on darkness from the movie Legend. But then different enough because I'm putting it in my book, so I don't want any copyright issues. So it's not exactly darkness, but it's the devil. And the top of his head, all those dots are supposed to be flies for Beelzebub. And then I have another one over here. They're from different artists. This one's from Indonesia because I'm trying to collect blood from different people, so I'm not giving the same person twice. But that was very expensive, and I planned on getting him one first, and then this one actually asked me for, as soon as I had paid for this one said he wanted one too. So
So you bought those?
Yes.
Okay.
This one was $550.
So they infuse their essence.
It's their blood. Demons love blood. When I gave this one to the other demon, what I do a lot of times now when I'm doing my rituals is I told you I'm doing the gateway experience. So I have a little cult. We have like a group, long distance, but we'll all meet up and chat and we'll meditate at the same times every day. And we'll do rituals sometimes together. And so we all summoned the spirit. And then I went and I laid down to do the gateway experience to meditate in the ritual. And I felt like I was in an earthquake, and I wasn't. There wasn't an earthquake. Everything was just. It was. I had this shift in consciousness.
Vibrating.
Everything was shit. It was amazing, dude. It was great.
So, do you think like you guys' consciousness was connecting?
Yes.
I love stuff like that.
Yeah.
I've actually been to what are they called? There are these it's this thing that's made out of copper and you go and meditate in it. I forgot what it's called, but it's like this dome thing that's made out of copper, and like they have it out here where you can go meditate in it. I think it's called a Starlink experience or something like that, but like you connect, you go, and they have lots of crystals there, like huge crystals, and they have like different music and meditation, like take you through, but you connect with entities like from other planets and other vibrations, and it's pretty cool. It's pretty trippy, and it's out in nature. It's out in the middle of nowhere, so it's very like, I guess it's not so much like occult, but it's more like connecting with the planet and other entities that are out there in the solar system.
Citrine, by the way, you asked what crystals would manifest wealth. It kind of came into my head. I think citrine. That's great. I mean, there's a lot of argument about aliens and demons and these spirits. I have somebody who thinks that. I mean, I don't know. I've had a lot of experience.
Your take on
she thinks that maybe I was like in contact with aliens, and it's hard to define, it's hard to know exactly what happened. Something happened to me.
There's a quote by Aleister Crowley, isn't there, that he was talking about, like, that we may call them spirits and demons and aliens today, but in the future they might have a whole different concept and understanding of what they are, and I think like even today, like we're talking on this computer our phones and over a phone like this, a little phone this size, you know, that you can pretty much run the world off of and connect, make millions of dollars off of this little device here if you know how to do it right. And if
and
you
you've
were
seen Lamb, right? Crowley's Lamb.
back in
That
the
thing's
day,
an alien.
time travel, if like you were to time travel back in like the day and stuff, and like say to Lincoln's time era, time period, like they would think you're doing this was witchcraft or something like that, you know?
Yeah, we invent the language, you know, like, we have the words for it, but I mean, something exists.
Like planes at one time were considered like that was something that would never happen, that like they were crazy. The Wright brothers were crazy to think that, and now it's just normal part of life. So to think like this stuff we do now, like it may seem macabre, but one day in the future, like it could just be a total normal thing because they'll have an actual understanding and an explanation for it.
Yeah, I don't think that science and magic, science and witchcraft are at odds at all. I think that they go together. I think science doesn't realize that yet, and we need to be patient with them.
Well, if you look at a lot of old scriptures, like a lot of stuff is what science has been. It's like a lot of the old ways that have been carried down, traditions, all that stuff have been way ahead of their time, and it's science is catching up to what that stuff meant. Or
and back in the day, I'm sorry, back in the day, there was
terms, like bringing it, putting it in their own terms, and trying to say it's repackaging it, trying to say it's there when it's always been there.
Yeah.
Back
in the day, there weren't so many divisions. Like a court astronomer also talked to angels. You know, John Dee. It was the case that people, scientific minded people, also were into like astronomy and astrology and so forth. Like it wasn't separated. We've started to separate them now, and I think we're also starting to realize that some of the stuff is true. So, I mean, we go through phases, you know. I think I understand where people are coming from. Like, you want to be rational, and because we can't explain how this stuff happens or how it would be real, we say it's not real. You know, we're not willing to consider it. But then we go out of our way to try to explain things in such a roundabout way to look for like other, you know, like it's obviously implied that this leads to this, but like because that doesn't make sense or we can't wrap our minds around like how is that possible, we go and we you know, oh well, it's because of all these other things, and it's not contradictory. It's because of both of those things, but there's a current that runs through everything.
Do you think you could ever live a life without magic?
No, I don't think so. Not voluntarily. I'm a very religious person.
I always like when I'm out and about among muggles, you know, non-magical.
Yeah.
I always wonder. I'm like, I wonder, like, if I don't think I could ever. There's no way I could go back to just.
You can't go back.
That existence. I couldn't. It's like I'm living on the other side of the veil, you know, and to go back to that, like, it's not gonna happen.
NPCs, they're all NPCs. They're not real.
They're not.
It's real. Like the Matrix, you know. You have to, because I mean, manifestation and synchronicity and so forth. Like, you know, you learn a new word, and then all of a sudden, people start saying that word to you, and it could be a really weird word. Like, try to say like, oh, you're just noticing it because you just learned it, but it'll be like a really weird word. Or I'll have like a thought that's like really specific and odd. Like one time, I was daydreaming about seeing a car accident. You know, and I was just imagining like going and seeing the car accident, but I had to go to work. I didn't cause it, so I had to drive around it, you know. And on the way to work that day, there was a car accident in front of me in the intersection. Like I was the closest one to. That's like that kind of magic. I feel like more people could tap into it, but they're not. I call them NPCs because they're just not conscious. Like they refuse to be aware of it, so they refuse to access that power.
So do you think like you're like working with magic? Well, it kind of sounds like you've already had, like, you've never been without it because your mom brought you up.
Well, no, I was without it because I did spend like a decade as an athist where I was intentionally pushing away from it. I didn't want to be like my mother.
But you knew about
it. Yeah, I'm sorry.
But I'm saying, but you had contact with it.
Yeah, I've had contact with it. My mom says I used to play with her altar. I remember vaguely her taking me to like headshops and the smell of dragon's blood.
So what's your take on? So what's like your take on religion? Like, because to me, like, I feel like everybody's practicing magic, whether it's consciously or unconsciously, even like religion. Like, I think I strongly feel like,
yes,
like that's a magical practice in its own right, but it's made for the person practicing to not believe that they're practicing magic.
It's so funny. The Catholics will work with angels and have altars and things, but then they're against witchcraft and the occult. That's literally, you are the occult. Yeah, I do think there's magic everywhere. Someone in my family had written a book about divination practices and like necromancy and like these things in the Bible. And they have like in the Bible, when they refer to like drawing lots and stuff, they're talking about casting lots. That's a divinatory practice. It's all throughout the Bible. The issue with a lot of the mainstream religions is that they're confident that they're right and they're arrogant about it. So they think that they're better than everyone else. Everyone else is wrong. They're still practicing magic. When you're praying, it's magic. But they don't want to call it that, and then they want to hate everybody who's open. There's explicit and implicit practice. Like you can implicitly practice something where you're not outwardly saying it, but it's still there, and then you can explicitly do it where you admit exactly. You say, "Hey, I'm a witch." You're all witches. You're all a bunch of witches to me.
Yeah. And it's so funny because I'm pretty sure people think I'm crazy when I'm like, "Oh, I'm a witch." But if they only lived my life, they would like.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So you can't explain somebody. You can't explain what the sky looks like to a blind person. They'll never fully comprehend unless they are able to see the sky themselves. So what's your take on so I like to touch upon religion because it's like politics,
Ooh, that's dangerous.
Because I like it. So wait, what's your take on the politics going on now?
I'm not going to talk about politics.
No.
I'm sorry.
All right, I had to try. I'm kind of neutral on that side as well. I don't really care to get involved with it.
I don't know.
Okay.
That's it.
So do you think Jesus was a magician practicing magic and his miracles were actually magic? Do you think he was a magician?
I mean, there's debate about whether Jesus was even a real person, Yes,
but,
as far as if he is real, then yes, I think that he's practicing magic.
Do you think common magicians nowadays, modern magicians, are capable of creating the same magic that was talked about in there?
I mean, again, we don't really know what parts of the Bible are true. I do think some of it is true. But a lot of it has been colored with it's a propaganda. The Bible is propaganda. And so they're gonna make things sound grander than they are. They're gonna talk their victories. There's no evidence for a lot of the things that happen in the Bible, but there's evidence for certain. I'm not dismissing the entire book, but we can't know which of Jesus's miracles were real, But some of them, there is evidence for, like, not Jesus specifically, but I think it was Moses. But they've recently come up with like an explanation for why that river could have turned red, because remember that like he turned the river to blood. So they're finding proof that some of these things really did happen, and then they're trying to explain it in scientific ways. But the fact of the matter is, it happened, and it happened at a critical time where that's magic.
When everything lines up to a coincidence.
Yeah, exactly.
You as a magician played with the energy to make those energies come together to create that coincidence.
Yeah. I think that you can always explain things by other means, because reality exists. I'm not a chaos magician. I do believe in reality. But it's just magic will take the path of least resistance. You prey on somebody's downfall. One of the most common outcomes is they're going to get into a car crash. That's just something magic manifests in car crashes. There's going to be an explanation for what caused the car crash, but you still made it happen.
Yeah. So do you think, so on curses, like, do you think curses can be thrown on somebody and attached to somebody that's undeserving of them?
Yes. You're saying, can you curse people who don't deserve it?
Yeah. Or what is your take on that?
I don't have experience doing that because I don't curse people for no reason. I'm pretty good at it, but I don't do it for no reason. But I mean, yeah, there are people who throw curses out at everyone, and I can't speak from experience because that's not what I do. I have a certain way of doing things. Sometimes I like to think that the reason that I'm so good at it is because I don't strike without a reason. I'm justified in my actions. But I mean, some people would say that I overreact in some cases. Like usually, like I have a really bad Mercury placement. my Mercury is good. My Mars is really shitty. They're both in Libra. I like my Mercury in Libra. My Mars in Libra, like, can you ever make a decision? I'll spend a lot of time debating whether to curse somebody and trying to think to myself, like, am I understanding the situation correctly? Could I have misunderstood? Could there be, I don't want to attack somebody innocent. But if somebody's threatening, like, for example, my home, because this is like where I'm secure. This was one of the cases where somebody said that I had overreacted because they didn't think that the crime was worthy of the punishment, but it still worked for me. He's gone. There was somebody who made me feel unsafe here, but like he made me feel uncomfortable, but he wasn't. I don't know.
So when you say he's gone, like, did he just?
He got in a car crash.
Oh, dang.
And then I never saw him again. Yeah, he lived across the street from me, and he like okay, the last straw was I was out in my patio watering my plants, and he's on the balcony talking on his phone, and he says hi to me from his balcony when I'm in my backyard, like in my private space. And then he would come over and smoke weed in front of my apartment, like across the sidewalk to smoke weed in front of my apartment. And then like one day he's standing in front of my apartment reading from the Bible really loud, like for some reason. So I just had enough. And it took like a month, and then he was in a car accident. I never saw him again. So some people say that was an overreaction. I feel like he was home.
Why was he reading his Bible?
I don't know, but okay, so it's kind of exciting because like towards the end, before his car accident, because he would have these really loud phone conversations. So I was like getting glimpses into his life. He was talking about sleepwalking and like darkness, and he would say hi to everybody in the neighborhood who would be like, hi. And then when I would walk by, he just looked at me, and I was like, this guy's scared of me. Like he knows.
So did he know about you and your
practice? I think so. And it was really cool because yeah, I got a little, but then he was gone, and I never saw him again.
So how has being an open witch like affected your life? Have you had like a lot of
I'm not totally open about it. I don't really go, I guess, I don't know. Like I have a professional life that I keep separate. I don't bring it up at work. If people try to talk to me about my religion at work, I won't talk about it. But then all of the rest of my time and energy is poured into, my authentic self, which is being a witch. I live in California, so it's a lot easier here than it would be in other places. But I've still had, like, I recently walked up and down Venice Beach and had at least one person try to fight me because my shirt said Satan is king. Like it's still a problem here, but I'm sure I actually had the idea it would be really cool to go to different states and wear that shirt, Satan is king, and like walk down a public place and film the different reactions and compare them. Because another guy saw my shirt and he's like, yeah, Satan loves you. So like, I got mixed reactions here.
And in Venice, like Venice is full of weirdos. So that's
yeah. And it was a weirdo who he started following me. It was a homeless guy. He was real upset because he's doing so great with Jesus. He's doing so well.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
I remember like, how like people get out there and they're like on their bullhorns and they're preaching the gospel and whatnot and trying to tell everybody they're sinners and get that type of thing. Well, I remember like me and one of my exes, like we were like terrorizing this guy that was out there doing that. Like he's on the corner and he was like speaking scriptures and we were like driving by. We're like, hell, Satan. Yeah. He was getting so mad. He was getting so mad. It was so funny.
Yeah.
We were having the time of our lives, but this guy was just he was getting so pissed.
Yeah, of course.
But I was like, I felt offended that this guy I felt personally attacked and offended that he felt that he was like only his spiritual beliefs mattered and like fuck everybody else.
That's how they
feel.
Like,
well, I felt equal advantage and opportunity that it was only fair and my responsibility to speak out for my spiritual belief system.
Something funny that I like doing sometimes is I'll talk about some of my experiences with God, and I'll be talking about God and like all of like, but then at some point down the line, I'll mention that it's Satan. And like you see, like the people, like yeah, they really like what you're saying. They're like, "What the fuck?" It's just so funny. It's so fun.
So like, when I was rehab when I was younger, usually like it was like a 12-step program, but with a 12-step program, like usually in a 12-step program, you get to choose what your higher power is,
Okay.
And you get to choose what that is for yourself. And I didn't know that at that point in time. And like my counselor at that time, she was trying to like push like Christianity down my throat. And I'm like, dude, like, you don't know who I am. Like, that's not going to happen. Right. So finally I told him like, hey, like, I'm not into that. Like I was raised in Christian church. I know all about it. I can probably like quote you the Bible back better than anybody, So like she was just like everybody was cool with me in the rehab until they found that out. They're like, oh God, she's a witch. And then after that, like they kept trying to stuff it down my throat. So what me and my friend would do? My friend, she was there at Witch's Sabbath. She was the other one that was.
Did I meet her?
Yeah. So So like we would go, me and her would go, right? And we'd like on the boards and stuff like that. We'd be like tagging the boards up with like hell Satan, Satan loves you, like just crazy stuff. And like they would tear it down, right? And then they called us in the office. They're like, you guys can't be doing that. You're offending a lot of people. I'm like, well, I'm getting offended there.
Yeah, your religion's offensive to me.
That's funny. It was so funny. Like, and the funny thing is, like, we were getting in trouble. I was like, dude, like, this makes no sense to me.
See, if we reject Christianity, then I think it's important that we reject the idea that God has to be Christian. I believe in God. I think God started talking to me. But yeah. I'm not a Christian. And, you know, people with a capital G, they're going to think Christianity, and that's not the case.
And it's not like, it's not the fact that I'm like, I don't care that people have their own belief systems. I just don't like when people try to stuff it down my throat. I'm not stuffing my beliefs or anything like that down anybody else's throat, you know? So I don't like having that done to me. So it's like, well, this is a situation, and I feel my higher power put me in this situation to gain some laughter out of it. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do something funny.
Yeah, I think that.
And maybe they didn't think it was funny, but I turned like a downside, icky situation into something that was humorous. So,
I mean, normal people were put here to amuse us with their reactions. That's what I said as a teenager.
And it's the thing I think that is more funnier. Like when I come out and I say I'm a witch or something like that, like I really don't care who knows, but I like to say it more to people who I know are going to give me a good reaction, because then it's so funny to me. Because we could like they'll be so cool and chill and like we'll get along. It's like, well, I'm still the same person.
Yeah.
You know,
well, I think it's interesting in the Bible, you know, the one murder is not an unforgivable sin. You can repent for murder, but the unforgivable sin is blaspheming the Holy Spirit. And you know, it's more fear tactics. It's just like hell. It's fear tactics where you're so scared to speak out against, you know, because you're afraid of the consequences, and they're trying to pigeonhole you like that.
Yeah. 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 I think it's a lot of control stuff.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So we want to get you lots of votes.
Oh yeah.
Because I want you to win, because then we can go like record your whole experience. And I mean, like, who better than a satanic witch to win the face of horror?
Yeah.
Beelzebub, you need to make this happen.
He's gotten me pretty far in this competition. I can't believe I made it to the semifinals.
I have to say, I'm shocked. I'm shocked.
Yeah, because I don't have a following. I have like 200 friends on Facebook. I have a ton of friend requests, and I won't add people because I'm so like I don't trust people. You know, I have a very close circle, and the fact that I've made it this far with that's ridiculous. Like it's absurd, but I still really want to win. So hopefully it's not over.
Yeah. And we have a big support group. Like, I mean, I think like a lot of. Well, yeah, you know, like I think people, I think there's a lot more people that are practice the occult and magic, or that dabble in it than they would like to say, you know, but like online, I think they reach out more and they talk more about it. So we have a lot more support out there than you think.
The issue, I think, is that a lot of witches still have an issue with like satanic witches, you know?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, even though okay, so we're talking things the way, and like all the other religions are wrong, and we're all going to burn. I have a very different approach. I do think that God is real. I think that many of the gods in different religions are actually the same God. I don't think there's an infinite amount of different gods. You know, we have different names. We make religion up. We make the stories up to describe the movements of planets, to describe the events in politics, like the rise and fall of a king, and then we turn it into like a religious story. But there is an entity who will respond, and since there's not an infinite amount of them, he'll come to different names and different religions. So there's truth in many different religions.
And there's something that I like in recovery that we talk about, you know, that our higher power changes. Like, you know, sometimes our higher power could be like when we go into a room and to a meeting and we feel like we made a connection to spirit, or we were taught, like we felt spirit used other people in that room to talk to us, you know, and at that moment in time, those people serve as a higher power to us. Or we could be out in nature and feel connected to source, to light, to the universe, you know, or we could have an interaction with the animal and feel like we had a connection with a spirit, an entity, or something and higher power, you know, where we feel like it was a spiritual experience. So I get exactly what you're saying, you know, like it's different energies. And I feel like it's sometimes the medium, where they say the medium from whence the message comes changes, you know?
Sometimes it's even people. I feel like I believe in possession. I personally believe in possession. I've had a lot of experiences where people will do things and like it's clear that they don't know what they're doing. Like for example, D'Antoine told me to get I have an electric bike. He told me to get the bike, and I went. I
love electric bikes. They're so
yeah, I recently went over 10,000 miles on it. It's that's 10,000 miles without any gas, right? So he tells me to get this e-bike, and I got the e-bike. I decided to name it D'Antoine's Chariot after this band from the 70s, right? Or the 60s, I'm not sure. And then the next day I go to work. I was working security at the time. I was working at a Walmart at that time. And I'm standing in front of the Walmart, and a homeless guy comes up and shakes my hand and starts playing the guitar. And he starts playing the song Madman from D'Antoine's Chariot. This is an extremely obscure band that didn't even last a full year. The people who were in this band ended up becoming very successful and like going into like the police. You have Andy Summers and stuff is in this band. So they all ended up having really successful careers, but the band itself flopped and didn't last for longer than a year. And it's from Britain. It's a British psychedelic band that never made it big. And this homeless guy starts playing it on the freaking guitar, right? And I was just like, do you even know what you're doing? I have video of that too. I like to record. I like to document.
It was a spiritual experience or what?
Yeah. If I wasn't me, I wouldn't believe these things, and I think that's fair. So I try to document as much as possible. You know, so I have a recording of that homeless man.
You want to hear something so funny?
What?
You can call me crazy or whatever, but I'm big into numbers. So today when we were arranging this show, right? And we're arranging all this witchy stuff and all this stuff. I'm seeing the DMV. I'm doing all this. I'm like listening to music, you know, chilling. I'm just me. I always have a good time with whatever I'm doing. I put some music in my ear and we're good. And DMV, you know, is not a fun place for most people, but I had a good time there today. So I'm chilling the DMV and like I'm chatting with you and Sharon, right? And I look up and in front of me on the screen, it says B6066.
6066?
You said B, the number B066. Oh. I was like, what the heck? Like 66, well, that stuck out to me. So I'm like, what the fuck? You know? So I'm sitting there, and to me, like, I took that as a wink from the universe, you know, like you're on the right path. Keep doing what you're doing. So then I had to go get more paperwork, and then I came back to DMV, right? And like I stood in that line earlier that day, but then at that one time, like my attention looked up, and like I caught this little some Halloween decorations on the wall, right? And you know what the decorations were?
What?
It was a little witch hat, and it said "Best Witches."
Very
Best
cool.
witches on there. I was like, spirit wink, like, you know, I was like, I get it. You never talked to me. We're doing something today where this is going down. Maybe he was Beelzebub. You know, like when certain things stick out to you.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, okay. You know, you as a magician knows, you know what it means or what it is. You know, it's a message.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what are you going to do when you win this contest? What are you going to do with your money?
I'm probably going to get my eyes fixed so I can see because I'm blind. That would be nice. Really? That would be a real treat.
You want to hear something crazy? What? Is like the other day I'm chilling in a restaurant. We're having some Chinese food, whatnot. And like, I like to listen to people's conversations while I'm having a conversation. So I'm listening to this conversation and I hear these guys talking about contacts, right? And they're talking about there's these contacts and give you like 20 better, make your eyesight better than 20/20 vision. Like it's a computerized, I think, contact.
Crazy.
Or implant.
Wild.
So if you win, I think you should get that. So you could have like alien supervision better than 20/20.
That would be nice to be able to see.
You know there's implants nowadays too. You can change your eye colors.
I know that in other countries that they have things that they're doing, but I don't know that it's approved here yet because we don't necessarily know like the long-term side effects. I would love lighter. I happen to think I recently figured out my eye color is actually rare, and I mean, okay, so I'm always like I'm not sure if I have hazel eyes or green eyes, right? Mm-hmm. Because my eyes
probably change colors.
Yeah, they do, or depending on what I'm wearing, because like it's going to reflect. But I recently figured out that what I actually have, it's green, but it has central heterochromia in it, because Hazel eyes, it blends, and mine actually has the star around the iris that is separate. So like most of my eye is green, and then like there's a dark blue outer ring, and then in the middle there's like the yellow star. So I recently figured out that's rare. But I mean, I love my eye color, but if I could, I would have them be lighter. I really like pale eyes. You know, I'm really into the pale eyes.
I actually went to India, and I got that surgery done where they make your eyes lighter.
What?
I did a whole video on it on YouTube.
What? I always assumed you had content. Are you serious?
I did a whole commercial for them. Yeah. It was like a few years ago. I did like a whole commercial for them, all this stuff. It was pretty trippy. Like went to India. There's a lot of celebrities that have gotten it done, and you just don't know.
That's cool. Yeah, I think pale eyes look really good.
Thank you. But now in the US, they actually have a laser where they just depigment the color out of your eyes. I think they're doing it in New York and like the East Coast. They have it. Yeah. So there's all this cool stuff nowadays. So I'm excited to see what you decide to do.
Yeah. And then green eyes run in my family. Like my dad has all green eyes. My aunt has all green eyes. So then I like wasn't sure like what are my eyes, and you know, kind of is it hazel? Is it green? Turns out it's green, but with central heterochromia.
So. That's cool. You should get purple eyes.
Oh my god, I one of the years for Halloween I had like the sclera contacts that were like all purple. Those are pretty cool.
Yeah. All right, so the link to vote for, I don't know why I keep wanting to say Amanda.
It's Armada, like army.
Or Winter Armada. Yes, you know, it's so funny. This whole time I've seen Amanda, Winter Amanda. That's what I've always seen.
Sometimes I'll get phone calls, like scammy phone calls, and like this hasn't happened recently, but in the past I've had someone call and they'll be like, "Is this Amanda?" And I'm like,
it looks so close to Amanda, and I know a few people that are Amanda that are close people in my lives. So I guess my brain just automatically seen that. But today and last night when I was putting everything together, that's when I was like, oh my gosh, this whole time I've seen Amanda, and it's actually Armada. Yeah, that's funny. So yeah, the links to vote for Winter are down below in the description. Get your 2-for-1 votes in. And we also have
so the 2-for-1 votes is lasting for the next 41 minutes, and then it's regular votes again. So
and then let's bring the LaVey name into this. Baphomet X. You can go check it out. It's baphometx.com. You go check it out, and we got lots of really cool satanic clothing there, memorabilia books, signed things by the LaVey family. Sharon LaVey's on there, and then we have a group chat going on over there. Why am I disappearing? We have a group chat going on over there for like a little after party, and you can personally chat with me, Sharon LaVey, and Winter. I believe Sharon is in this chat.
Yeah, she's in there right now.
But for some reason, I don't know why it's not pulling up. Maybe I have to go through my YouTube account and figure that out. But who knows? Like, this technology is always doing something. There's always something that decides doesn't want to work correctly. So yeah, try to figure that out for the next time. But yeah, it's been fun having you on. Are you checking your messages?
I was checking the chat, yeah.
So yeah, go get some cool satanic gear from baphometx.com. Get a membership on there. You could, I don't know.
You can sign up for the free membership and participate in chat.
Is there still videos and stuff on there? Like
yes.
There's still shows on there?
Yeah.
You know what I like? There's The Devil's Reign on there. That one's a really good movie. So yeah, there's some really cool movies there, memorabilia, like just really cool knickknacks and stuff like that. And I believe Sharon released some new books, and then your book is available on Lulu.
Yeah,
right.
And it's on Amazon as well, but I get paid better if you buy it from Lulu. So I appreciate buying it from Lulu.
Yeah. So go check out Winter's book.
Could you possibly put a link in the description for that too?
It's already there, darling.
Okay, awesome.
I was up last night putting it all together. Like,
thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, gotcha. Oh yeah, let me mention my stuff too. So I got my website is coming together. We're going to be bringing some really cool stuff. I'm going to keep everybody updated on that, but I think we might try to get some lessons together or something. Yeah, okay, so that's what I'm thinking. How would you feel, man? I mean, Winter, how would you feel about like collaborating and putting together like a little class on Beelzebub or something together, and we can like live stream it or like host
Maybe,
it
I mean,
and make
maybe.
a little like a webinar. You know, people can come and pay a little bit and
Ooh, money.
yeah, no,
I love money.
and you can put our heads together, and maybe Sharon can come in there with us and maybe put some rituals together, and people can come and check it out.
Okay.
You know, but it'll be personal. I'll make it where it's only so many people, and where they can actually interact with us and talk with us and stuff on a personal basis, and get some magic tips to get that money coming in, baby. So yeah, my website's coming together, so we'll get some stuff going on with that. But yeah, so we'll go ahead and end this. Vote
thank you.
Vote for Winter. Let's get it up out there. See her win, and stay sexy, Los Angeles, or whole wide world out there. India, Japan, Australia. Tell them bye.
Winter. Bye. It was nice to be on here.
Wait, we gotta close it out.
Okay.
Hell Satan.
Hell Satan.
No, you gotta do the devil horns. It's very rock and roll-ish.
Hell Satan.
All right. Bye.